Hi, Justin back for another week of Modern here for the Themtgnoob.com. This week I'm going to be showing Affinity. And the reason I decided to show this deck was because I really hate playing against it. It's one of those decks that some people just don't like to play against, like Turbo Fog. And for me, this is it. So I'm more on the receiving end of a deck like this more than playing this kind of deck. So, and I'd actually never played it before last week, so I wanted to give it a try and see how it is. Um, it's a really strong deck in that it can basically win most of its game ones, but it also has a big weakness in that it's obviously very weak to artifact hate. And some cards like Stony Silence can just completely hose the entire thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at some noticeable cards and see what makes this deck good. So basically, I mean, you've probably seen it before. You can dump your hand really fast. Uh, there aren't actually that many cards that actually have affinity for artifacts, which is what the deck is named for. In fact, there's only Thoughtcast with this current build. This is one that came in top 8 recently on a MTGO Premier event. So the other important cards in this deck, we got Cranial Plating, which basically is what lets you kill really fast. You know, you have so many artifacts in play. You equip it to something like a Signal Pest or a Blank Moth or Ink Moth Nexus, and just kill them very, very quickly. Other key cards, Arcbound Ravager, which is probably one of my least favorite cards in Magic. It's one of the reasons that this deck can be resilient towards spot removal for artifacts, since you can kind of just sacrifice anything that they target to the Ravager, and it also lets you steal away some games. You basically just sacrifice everything to the Ravager, and then sacrifice the Ravager to throw everything on the one creature to get those last couple points of damage in. We do have 3 Etch Champions, with one more in the sideboard, and 1 Master of Ethereum, which is interesting. I don't know if I would play it. I might play a 4th Galvanic Blast instead of it if I was making the deck. Let's take a look at the sideboard. We have 1 Blood Moon, which is pretty interesting because there's only 1 basic land in this entire deck, but it's there because, I mean, even though these are non-basic lands, it doesn't hurt if they become mountains. They don't need to be what they are in order for this deck to win. So that's why they play with this one in the sideboard, and it can definitely hurt some other decks. We have 2 Deglammer, and I think this is probably one of the key cards because this is what lets you get rid of Stony Silence or some other thing in a permanent way. So that's a pretty key card. We have 4 Relics for Graveyard Hate. We have Spell Skites, so we can help with spot removal if we need to, or enchantments, stuff like that. And then we have 3 Canonists, which are in there. I haven't gotten to a point where I've sided them in yet, and maybe they're best used with something else now that Storm is not nearly as much of a problem. I think the only time I actually played with sideboarded them in was against a Blistering Weird deck. So that's it. Let's go ahead and get started and see how we do this week.